piece. I think it's really interesting what AL end up choosing to ban here. Varus on the board, something that WE would be very happy to pick up. It's been Taeyun's most consistent pick for sure over the course of this year in terms of his just raw performance. So we'll see if that ends up getting let through. But other power picks are also available. I was going to say Talia also left up to try to play that macro game. So kind of a tough position for AL, but they opt in to taking out the mid laner and letting through the AD carry.
I will say, I don't really like the matchup, but Yunara's up. Yunara's available. Let's see if that what kind of pick they want to give Hope. Hope looking to be that team fight carry, as they already give a very strong mid-jungle duo to Tarzan and Shanks with the Annie setup tool in the mid lane and the Wukong skirmish priority for Tarzan.
This has really been their go-to duo when they don't have access to one of those really aggressive junglers early on. They want to make sure that they have that set up for someone else to be able to carry Hope in particular, to have that hyper carry threat on the bottom side of the map. But WE, once again, just answering with, strong picks in the meta. Okay, you don't want us to have macro threat in Talia. We're going to have it in Gallia. We're going to have a Rumble on the top side. Like, you have to, invest resources into answering the damage that we're putting in at the end of this game. Varus Rumble can be a very scary duo to deal with damage-wise, but we'll see if AL wants to go for the more aggressive counter or perhaps maybe one of the safer ones.
And we saw a little bit of that, maybe foreshadowing to it in that first series. But here, going to have a very heavy team fight focus for WE. It's going to be the Aurora locked in for AL for Flandra, so they will have some of that pressure onto that Rumble on the top side. We saw what happened last time these two champs met there.
Quite scary to have, Aurora plus a ton of engage. Never a good feeling on the other side of the matchup, but as long as you can stay the course and get an AD carry or a support, I should say, for your AD carry that can help out the Varus stay a little bit safer, things should be fine. Jungle bans coming out from the side of AL, just wanting to take away the big options, the engage options here for Monkey. We talked about it extensively. This team is so much better when Monkey gets to be the go button, gets to go forward. Things like Jarvan need to be taken off the board. Xin Zhao, I imagine, is going to be a pretty big priority to take off the board. The Yunara, as you stated earlier, going to be the answer as well with AD carry.
I'm sad. I'm sad. I was hoping to see the Yunara. But yeah, Xin Zhao doesn't get banned here. I mean, it's just going to be an auto pick for WE. Maybe something, okay, it's the Olaf, the Monkey Olaf that he usually saves for a pivotal game. Game 3s. Yeah, they are going to ban that one away this time around. So Xin Zhao should be the pick for WE-TBH. And we'll see what the final pick is going to be for WE in terms of the bans. And it's the Sivir. So hyper-focusing onto Hope in that second phase.
Yeah, you don't want to let him get a hyper carry in this comp. You have damage coming in from the Aurora, the setup coming in from Wukong and Annie. You're probably going to get some sort of engaged support as well. You can't allow him to just completely dominate the game, but there's so many options. Things like Corki, Kai'Sa, Xayah, all of them are still on the board for Hope to pick up here. And all of them, I think, would be great fits. It's really just about the comfort, and looks like he wants to go for the artillery.
I like it, because you also have that insane shred if they try to fight you face-to-face. And that's a lot of what WE are looking at here with the compositional strength that they have. They want to all kind of pile in together and take those fights front to back in a lot of ways. I think Xin Zhao is the obvious choice here, but it's more so that next pick that's going to be there, the unlocking factor that Vampire is going to have for this comp.
Yeah, we will see. It's actually the Poppy lock-in that ends up coming in. Still Poppy? A flex. Yeah, still a flex here. Could go either way for Monkey or Vampire.
Where's
I think it would be really strong for both. We will see here.
Because that means it has to be banned. Depending on what side selection looks like next time around, whoever loses this first game. And Xin Zhao is going to be heavy prio. It's the Nautilus, so it's Poppy Jungle for Monkey. And we'll see what that final answer is from AL with the counter pick support.
Rel feels very obvious here as a finisher to this comp. It would perfectly combo off of the Wukong and the Annie setup more for the Corki. I will say, I'm a big fan of Poppy, and I think this is a real good game for that champ. So as long as you can put her into a good position, Monkey's going to have the opportunity to really be that guy that we talked about in this game. Maybe not quite on the diver, but more on the kind of creator in that same kind of way. He's still going to have a lot of attention put on him, and with that Rel coming in as the final answer, plenty of tools to disengage from.
So I got to ask you, at least from these drafts, we put so much onus on the jungles. How do the teams play around their junglers? Because it feels like we do have skirmish potential between the two of them. So I guess we'll start with WE. What does the Poppy want to do with this comp in a lot of ways?
Poppy wants to utilize these solo lane advantages that you're almost certainly going to have, at least as we go further along. Rumble should be able to have that pressure early on into Aurora, and I think Galio should as well. The engage has to be first from not only Poppy, but from the Nautilus. Those two need to link up, and luckily Vampire and Monkey have really been the duo for WE to push things forward. I think if you separate the game plan here, even with Galio being able to make that heroic entrance, it's going to be difficult to have that combat power. AL, much more straightforward. If you can get to the late game, your setup is so clear, it's so clean, and you have so much more damage with that shred coming in onto multiple tanks. You know, I think their win condition is easier, but WE definitely still have options.
Yeah, WE have a lot of options as time goes on, as those objectives come into range. And it's all a lot of pick potential on the side of AL, which in a setup like this, when you feel like you're the better team, that can breed a lot of confidence here, Kman. I said AL love to thrive off that confidence, but it's the final series for both these teams in the regular season. We talked about the different trajectories. WE looking to repeat or do better than their run in Split 2. That playoff play-in victory, getting into the playoffs. All that is ahead of them in that gauntlet. And AL, they're trying to hone that edge for the playoffs themselves. One of the top 4 in Group Ascend, now taking on one of the bottom 4 in the final series for both. WE versus AL, game number 1 starts now.
I told you, Mazel, we were ramping up for series number 2 with the chance. We got some active crowd members here for game 2 as Monkey gets chunked out a little bit, but really going to be looking at where exactly the jungle pressure goes early, because again, I think that there's so much onus on Monkey to make plays around the top side of the map and around these solo laners that if you can't get that advantage, it's going to be quite scary, but they can't even get the ward down right now.
They can't. We are just full-on chaos here, and I like it, as we do end up having that latent vision play going down. Wanda, I mean, there's the big death wall here. Shakes was able to get the stun going. Is going to get a little bit of damage, so this wave state's going to be tough to deal with for Karis. We are going to see the opposite side starts for both junglers. It's going to be Monkey starting on his Wolves here as the 2v2 and bot side forces the flash out of Tayud and the heal out of Vampire. The flash was burned by Kyle, and he does only have about 200 health.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good trade for WE, but they do burn the flash on the Varus, and that's a very important tool for the early game. Could impact exactly where these junglers need to go, but the hook lands.
Oh, they get the hook! Kyle getting so low, but they don't want to overextend. They don't want to risk the amount of damage that Hope can do. The Gatling gun. So WE gonna play off that setup, and the push ends up coming through for AL. Get the back off with Kyle. Oh, he actually wasn't gonna get hit by that. He got
interrupts
scared.
his back for nothing. He got scared a bit there. Monkey also here on the bot side. The pings are coming down. Monkey wants to pressure this.
This has been such a weird clear for Monkey, but I kind of like it. He's gonna get the flash out of Hope though. But Monkey went from Wolves to Chickens to Krugs, and now maybe looking at getting some division going. No buffs secured by Monkey this early.
Yeah, he's going for the 0 buff clear here on Poppy.
That's wild. I don't think I've ever seen that.
As he goes to his red now, he's going to be really delayed. He's actually not. He's going straight to the top side. No red. Who needs it? He's just going to be clearing up. You know, not a jungle player myself, and so I can't speak on the effectiveness of the no red Poppy clear, but certainly going to be a choice here for Monkey.
Dude, I feel like he's just walking around forever. He's going to get the Gromp now. He's going to start this one. But again, this is a position where he can play a little bit laid back. They do have a comp that really thrives in those later objective contests. But it's a bit of a situation like we've seen in the previous series where you don't want to necessarily give full decision-making priority to AL, a team that will absolutely rip the game away from you. And Tarzan will find out the info that Monkey still has not taken a single buff. He's going to get this blue. Monkey is in the bush. Tarzan a little bit wary. Did have move from both mid laners. Monkey going to try to contest over the Scuttle Crab. As the blue buff does end up resetting, Monkey doesn't even get into range, and Tarzan's like, what are you doing here, bro? You're too small to be in this fight, in this conversation. We'll have Tarzan moving back down towards bot side with Monkey finally picking up his blue buff.
Tarzan's a full level up on Wukong right now. He's up 10 CS, and obviously that will get equalized at least a little bit here, but this is a huge lead for Tarzan that he's been able to generate. Monkey going for this unique, clear option. He's not even level 4 yet. He will get it off of the Wolves here, but Tarzan very much ahead in pressure. We'll see how he utilizes it. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. We'll see if he wants to put more attention here on the bot side now with no summoner, or at least no flash onto Tian.
And for the audience, if you want a perfect PR answer to what you're seeing on your screen, just copy what Kman just said. Anyways, we're going to be getting into it now. It's going to be the Dreadline connecting from Vampire onto Kyle. Kyle gets hit by the piercing arrow as well, but Hope still a dangerous doggo in this bot side. The crash will come through in favor of WE though.
Yeah, it's definitely still a good spot for WE's bot lane. They are generating a pretty big lead on their own. 12 CS difference with Taeyun crashing that in. So certainly got to feel good about that Varus pick going over on blue side, at least for now. Really the question is, what can you utilize him for in the early game? Do you want to play for that dragon? Do you want to try and get that prio bot side? Or are you going to use that 6-minute timer on the top side to try and get those grubs? Will be kind of the determining factor here for WE.
Yeah, a little bit of that push and pull on the bot side. I was wondering if AL wanted to go for the earlier dragon. Won't be the case. Push play coming through. They connect the Dreadline onto Hope. Hope does Valkyrie away and burn the barrier. Still gets the piercing arrow to the booty. And that'll be Taeyun and Vampire getting the push in the bot wave, using this pressure to move over with Monkey.
Oh, they are looking for a dive here. Unfortunately, Taeyun is, or Hope is going to be able to get his back off, and Kyle is going to spot it out. So, or at least I thought he was. He could still be in danger here. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be able to crash down, get that shield. Not going to worry too much, but not really a ton to play for. It's just going to be a big wave loss for the Corki. So, big CS lead now for Taeyun.
Look at this map state right now. You just had Cube TP top side. That is going to be the bot lane switcheroonie for AL over into this matchup. And Taeyun's going to walk bot side, so we're going to have a bit of wonky lane setup right now.
Yeah, this is definitely an indicator to me that WE is more concerned about stacking these dragons and making sure to keep the Varus in as strong of a position as possible to take advantage of this Aurora rather than compete over the grubs. But you never know, still a minute and a half away from that objective. But with Tarzan on the bot side, it's going to be hard to really pressure this dragon out, at least for now.
Hey, Cloud Dragon. I do like me an early Cloud Dragon. Still a bit of that XP differential right now, and I think that might come to bear here soon because Tarzan should hit level 6 off this next camp, and Monkey's not going to be close to it. Dragon looks like it might get started up by WE because they have prio. Meanwhile, AL making a 2-for-1 play, at least 2v1 play in the top side to get on the cube. And it looks like the vision game strong with WE. They were able to get so much vision around that dragon pit.
Definitely the setup you need to have if you're going to expend your one strong part of the map on the bot side here with the Varus, but we'll see how that ends up going for Cube on the top side. We'll have that ultimate available in about 5 seconds, so shouldn't be under too much threat in that particular area. Right now, Tarzan just clearing his camps up to the top side. I imagine that 30-second grub spawn is really going to be the priority for AL. See how many resources they want to invest in it.
Yeah, see a little Dreadline go wide in bot lane. But there is a bit of a CS differential in mid lane starting to develop, but as well as countered by Taeyun in the bot side for WE. I wonder how long we're going to be willing to stick in these bot lanes. Okay, TP finally going to come through. It is going to be Vampire joining this top side, try to stave off the 2v2 as Grubby is going to be started up by Monkey. See if Tarzan wants to come over and ruin that.
Yeah, Varus is just walking up from bot lane here. The rotation comes in quite slow, but it ends up really working out for WE as there's no real major force coming in from AL. It does feel like they're just giving this over, which is quite surprising to me, but with all that vision on the bot side, WE know they can take this for free, and it looks like it's going to be 3 grubs donated over to blue side.
Okay, well, that is a decision for sure. With a comp that loves team fighting, loves to scale into the moment, it's going to feel really good for WE. What do AL try to get off the back of it? Do they try to get this dragon stacking going? We're already pretty deep into that timer. Shank's going to get engaged on. Tibbers instantly onto Karis. Going to take a brunt of damage on the back end of it. I was just feeling pretty zealous there. As both junglers going to take their backs going through.
Yeah, I think Annie definitely has the pressure early in this laning phase, but things get very easy for Galio the moment that he starts building some MR. He's got that Spectre's Cowl completed.
Yeah.
This is going to become difficult for Annie to really do anything in for the rest of this laning phase, and I think that's going to open up Kars to really be able to move around the map. Perhaps that was the fear for AL in that exchange, was just the heroic entrance, but once again, it's just free pressure going to WE. Lead's still there for Tarzan. I think that's the notable thing. The Wukong's still in a strong spot, but yet to utilize it.
Yeah, we have to utilize about a half level over Monkey in general. I mean, getting close to that Trinity Force as well, but it's so funny. Like, this AL team, man, it has been a literal roller coaster of a split 3. Going from the international hangover that we saw, lackluster performances. We're wondering if they kind of ever touched League of Legends before, which we know they had. To moments like this where we see them now on a maybe not all good, but 5 games that have just been sweeps in 2-0s. I know it's something that we're actually very interested in for AL, where they've adapted from that kind of long series, 3-gamer, dragging it out, finding a little bit of fumbles, to either being extremely clean or having some fumbles themselves.
Yeah, I think AL have wanted some early days, and I think the reason is because I think they have a much clearer playstyle, but it's not necessarily a more consistent one. I think we're seeing it a bit here in game number 1, where they're happy to give over objectives if it means that they can start to generate a gold lead for themselves. You can see that in the jungle, you can see that in the mid lane. They don't feel the need to keep pressuring, you know, a lot of these map states if they can get more gold in lanes because of their setups. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see how it ends up working out for them here, because I'll be honest, I am a bit concerned with them giving over those grubs for free.
And when we find ourselves on the precipice of the end of the regular season, it's when you really got to get your ducks in a row. AL are trying to figure out exactly what the powerhouse structure for them looks like. Feels like they've had some good draft gaps as of late. This one going to be a little bit topsy-turvy here, as we do see redeploy from Tian up towards top side. Should signal us away from that bot side focus, even though Dragon is still up and available. Andra going to get all in by Cube here. Should be ran down. Is just going to be escorted back to his turret.
Yes, this is the problem with, you know, trying to kill Aurora. She just is very slippery in terms of how that goes. Rumble should still be able to shove that wave out and really have first push and first move to most places, but with teleports available for both top laners, you're starting to see some items, you know, at least get close to coming through for these main carries. In fact, it will be the Poppy who ends up finishing that Sundered Sky first, with the Youmu's done here for Taeyun as well. So definitely a bit of a small spike for WE. We'll see what they can do with it, but gold, for the most part, not all that different.
And I'm not going to lie, Monkey's almost caught completely up in XP, which is hilarious to me, because in a world where WE actually do well in this game, number 1, there is also a world where we just completely forget about that crazy pathing early on.
Yeah. I think that's honestly to the detriment of Tarzan. I think that there were a lot of missed opportunities to take advantage of that lead that lasted for, you know, quite a while. I mean, there was a 5-minute period where it was difficult to take advantage, but now it's WE who's just walking up and taking Dragon for free. Now this Dragon's going to lose at least a bit of value because Soul is very delayed in this game, but still definitely a nice Cloud Drake to get for WE.
And that's what I find so interesting when we talk about the draft. Like, there are some scaling options for AL, but I mean, we put a little bit more emphasis on that for WE, and we talked about AL wanting to be proactive with some of the picks, especially this mid-jungle duo. How many picks you can find between the two is really strong, really good. They've been extremely reserved. They've been just hanging out, waiting for things to happen. That's full neutral objective control by WE so far.
Which is insane, as we see a bit of a trade here, because I think WE's only weak point in terms of their comp is their mid game. They just don't really have a mid game in terms of who they want to play through. Rumble and Varus need a bit of time to get to those major power spikes, and Poppy and Galio can't really carry fights in the same kind of way. And so this is the time to take advantage, and looks like AL's going to try, but this is protected from Vampire.
Vampire right around the corner. And with that heroic entrance being there, the tankiness will just be really hard to get through. Taeyun going to be on this first item spike right next to Hope. Taeyun's trying to step up, maybe bait into this Chains of Corruption, knowing that Hope has no way out of it if he gets hit. No cleanse, no Quicksilver Sash, no nothing. They aren't going to find anything in that mid lane. It will be just a little bit of a saving grace here with the Rift Herald coming up in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. You see everybody coming up towards this top side, and that redeploy from Vampire for sure going to be back up there.
Hopefully Rift Herald a bit more successful than it was in series number 1 for the teams here today. But definitely a huge objective to try and get some gold in the pockets of your main carries. Gold is still completely even across the board because Tian has been able to maintain that 20 CS lead over Hope. And so if WE are able to, keep pushing that forward, it could get really scary really fast with 3 grubs on top of it. You need to make sure to watch for that heroic entrance on top of a Poppy.
The double Trinity Force spike that maybe makes the difference. But a very relaxed game. I do wonder, with the 3 grubs, how much that really balloons WE's lead, because once you start getting these items, it's going to be much more difficult to approach these fights. We talked a little bit about how strong Poppy is into this comp. The reason why they went with Poppy over the likes of Xin Zhao, over the likes of, other potential skirmish-heavy junglers, is because of how much lockdown Monkey can provide in the fights on top of everything else they have.
Yeah, I mean, the Poppy is huge for these fights, and especially if you can start getting some side lane pressure from the Galio that really forces these, weird number exchanges. Poppy can thrive at being able to pick off low resource and low mobility types of carries like Annie in the mid lane, so you really need to make sure that you don't let this Poppy get out of control. And once again, it's WE that, because of their vision setup and because of their pressure with the bot lane, is able to start up this Herald, see how much AL want to invest into trying to contest.
They're a little hesitant to walk in, but they're going to move Hope over with Kyle and Tarzan. TP coming in, but the Rift Herald's already going low. Dredgeline connects on to Kyle. He's in a little bit of trouble. Chains of Corruption on the back of it. All the CC chain you could ever ask for coming in through WE. TP comes in. Shanks tries to find it. Monkey flashes preemptively. Really nicely timed. And now Vampire can find an angle if he wants to. Trying to go for Shanks. Shanks sidesteps it. Does flash away from the wall bang. He's actually schmooving on him now. Tarzan finds an angle on the Vampire, but they left Taeyun. Taeyun flashes over back to the rest of the team. Luckily, WE still have strength in numbers, right? As Flandra tries to find an angle, goes for the double, and he ends up finding the 2-fold hex. And now Tarzan overextends himself. He gets taunted in the end. Monkey's going to try to chase him down, but it's the clone, guys. You targeted the wrong member. Keeper's Verdict going to come through, and Hope gets just gunned down, or I guess burnt down by Cube. And honestly, I feel like we're right back in that first series. It is a mud-flinging affair, and everybody's dying.
I don't know why I thought there was going to be an increase in lack of chaos, I guess, going into the second series. That was definitely not the case. I mean, so much happening in that exchange. But overall, I would say that's a huge, huge win for Team WE. Not only do they get the Rift Herald, but this fight is completely taken on their terms. And really, all of this setup is in their favor. They completely obliterate Kyle at the start of this fight, make it basically unwinnable from this point onwards. And the only thing that ends up really punishing them is that they continue to go forward. This could have been an easy 1-for-0 exchange with the Rift Herald, with the flash coming in. It's actually a really nice flash from Karis to just completely destroy Shanks. Tarzan tries to turn things on the back end, but Taeyun, with that flash, ends up still being able to get back to the rest of his team. Unfortunately, at this point, Flandra is a little too strong, and at that level 11, he's gonna be able to burst down your backline. Karis just not quick enough on the heroic entrance to give that shield, but Cube still burning people down on the back end of this fight. So all in all, it just turns into an absolutely chaotic mess that ends up just, moving in multiple different directions and ends with WE winning as we get another fight over blue buff.
We're just going to keep going. Vampire misses the Dredgeline. Shanks outsteps him again. As we see the Rift Herald charge for the first time actually get the charge off on the day. Will be WE's favor there. Doesn't get the outer turret in the end. Karis getting low, at least getting threatened in that mid lane, but the Dragon started by WE, and I mean, they already have feats, but damn, 18 minutes in, have full objective control for WE. I'm not saying we're game 1 Andes for this squad, but maybe they are.
I mean, it's unbelievable map control from WE. They take the Dragon, they rotate immediately with their grubs down to bot lane to get this turret. I mean, everything on the map is theirs right now. AL are playing super reactively. They are going to be able to, take this turret on the top side, which is a nice get from them. I believe they got first turret, which is still pretty huge for AL to be able to burst that down. But once again, it's WE just continuing to push forward and grow their gold lead just a tad bit more.
We have hit level 11. So let's talk a little bit about the map state, because 2 Dragons going to feel really good. Full objective control for WE is going to feel really good. There are some breakpoints that are starting to get made for AL. A couple items, that evolution of the item for Hope, he is going to be a point of pressure.
I I definitely think Hope is, you know, kind of the Hope and Flandra are going to be your two big pieces here to watch for AL, but my concern for AL is I think they've hit the strongest part of this comp as a whole with this mid-game, you know, one-item power spike with Tarzan and Shanks and even Kyle to an extent. I think the later this game goes, especially with defeats going over to WE, they're going to get quite strong with this Varus and Rumble. It's going to be up to Flandra utilizing this Aurora to target backline members and capitalize on the engage coming in from Tarzan to really set up good fights for them.
A little bit of vision is going to mean that Karis knows what's coming his way. Knows that there was going to be an answer up there, so back coming through from Tarzan. We get to that second item here. TP is going to come back out in the mid lane. And that will be Kyle trying to just get back onto the map, get some of this vision control under tow. But now we're getting to that second item point for WE. And this has been a crazy story for WE this entire year, right? Like I called it a roller coaster earlier. I think it truly has been. You can call it for both teams in a lot of ways. But this team has been all over the place in good and bad. And right now, I mean, they don't find themselves in a very positive place here in split number 3. They gave some teams some runs for their money, man. And it just hasn't been a holistic put it together and finish the series for this squad.
I think that's really the frustrating part is just how many wins they've gotten across this split. How many times they've beaten top tier teams only to walk away with a series loss. We will see if they end up, you know, falling to tradition in this one as they really are greeting to get this mid lane tier 1. They will be able to take it down, but fun little statistic, WE have as many game wins going into the day as Weibo Gaming did. They have more than JD Gaming did, and so this is certainly a team that you have to respect in the standings. And right now they're in a great spot to take game number 1, picking up that mid-game advantage.
Maybe it all spawns off the draft gap in game number 1, but really coming down to execution of the comps here so far. We did finally hit that second item coming through for WE, and that is going to be the edge of night for Taeyu. So trying to stay away from the potential all-in from Shanks, because all he does is needs to get one big combo, and Taeyu would fall. Dragon up in about 1:45, but we're still down here to posture around the Atacon.
Yeah, that's the objective here. It's Atacon AL looking.
They saw that there was only 2 of them there, but they missed the play onto Vampire. Keeper Verde going to bring 2. The wall bang right into Hope, or at least to take him out as well. Straight to the brain. And that's going to be 2 quick kills for WE that leads into the Atacon. Tarzan going to go for a desperate play. Tries to get Karis. The stun, the CC. Atacon kills him. Flandra gets the kill in the end. Long distance style. And now Tarzan actually has an angle here. I mean, you've already lost Karis. He died with his heroic entrance down. Tarzan could get in here and try to steal this one. They're going to go in with the Between World. Flandre trying to put on his best breathe performance here, but he's getting taken down by Taeyu, who flashes on him. Meanwhile, Tarzan ends up finding the kill on the Vampire, but the Atacon gets reset a little bit. Monkey's still in the vicinity. Do they still want to go for the 50-50? Got to remember, Cube has the TP. He can come back into the fight.
No way they stay here at this Atacon. This is so risky for both of these teams, but both Tarzan and Monkey trying to keep it from resetting. They want to keep it.
Oh my god. Okay, it's finally gonna be. They're like both guys are finally like, all right, we're done with this forever fight. We're gonna walk away now. We'll come back later, and probably come back here pretty soon because Dragon's coming up.
What a play from Monkey. I hope we get a replay on that. Ask and I shall be delivered, I guess. But here we go. What an amazing start here. Kyle goes for the engage. It's immediately stopped here by Monkey, who just shuts down all of what Rel is doing. The Keeper's Verdict comes out, knocks 3 members out. The flash stun into Hope. He has single-handedly won this fight with 3 button presses. And at this point onwards, they can take down the Rel. They can take down the carry. And it's going to be difficult for AL to play that fight out. They do a great job to pull back. But now we are back to live, and the setups matter once more.
If Hope doesn't use his flash for something crazy here, I'm going to be really sad because he definitely had time to flash when he saw what was coming there. He didn't do it. Now it is AL trying to stave off this complete control from WE. And their answers are coming up short so far. Dragon up, Atacon up, WE going to start up the first one of those. Force the hand of AL. They're in a very good position here.
This is a great setup for WE.
Oh, Tarzan! He just goes in on Taeyu. There's a rook entrance in. It's going to knock up multiple, but they do end up getting the denial on that one. Tarzan now getting burned by the Flame Spitter. Magnet Storm into 3, but they don't have the damage. Hope and Flandre weren't there. You can't go in like that if you don't have your damage.
I was so taken aback by the engage because there was no one in the area to even try and follow up. Flandra getting stunned into the wall.
Now. No, I mean, WE are in a little bit of a pain point here.
They have no health
bars.
bars.
They do have a lot of damage from range, and now TP coming in. They're going to come join
it's
as
Vampire.
well. It's going to be Vampire with the engage potential. And they're going to go right back to the Dragon. Karus is going to back. He can get back out on the map, but he's not going to have any tools to get there. But it doesn't matter. That third Dragon to WE. We're just rinsing AL right now.
This is what we were talking about. It's the disconnect coming in from AL. It's the lack of coordination. Tarzan finds a, in isolation, phenomenal 4 to 5 man engage, but no one is there to follow up. And now, when you're looking at the rest of this map, it's a terrible state for AL. But let's go ahead and see this replay. Again, he goes in and finds this great engage onto Taeyun. He's able to get a ton down, but look at where Flandra is. Look at where Hope is. There's no way to play out this fight. You're just free hitting Monkey and Karus the moment the Keeper's Verdict comes in to really separate the fight. Now the equalizer's dropped and the entire front line is burning for AL. There's no way to play this fight. It's continuing to create separation for WE. And it's just better execution and better coordination.
And maybe I'm not the biggest brain here, but there is no way in hell that one EQ combo from Wukong and one rocket from Corki ever kills Taeyun there. But they went for it anyways, and unfortunately they paid the ultimate price for it. But now, after the Dragon had gotten taken, WE are posturing around this Atacon. They're going to get the redemption and heal back to full, and here goes the dance once again.
Man, we are breaking out the music because the dance never ends. The vision isn't there. WE looking to try and posture. Tarzan looking for another angle, but look at where Flandra is. He's on the back line. He can get onto Taeyun. There could still be a way to win this fight. That Edge of Night putting in so much work for the Varus to keep him safe in these exchanges. And for now, it looks like Hope is just going to clear the wave, look for mid lane, and we're just going to continue to dance on the bottom side of the map.
We are. I think that Edge of Night is getting the most value out of any item in the game right now. Absolutely incredible buy, and we are seeing some of the fruits of that labor with WE finding consistent fights. But we still have to think about how they put a bow on this one, because it feels like there's something there. They have been so reserved, so relaxed in this game so far. You're wondering, are they going to wake up? Are they going to get into this one at some point? I think they have some ways to do that as long as the game stays within reach. But you're already down about 3,000 gold, starting to get out of grasp.
You certainly don't love being down in gold against Varus, Rumble, Poppy. Can be a bit scary. Monkey, Peyz checking, but he's Poppy, so he should be able to get away with it. Has the fruit to be able to heal up. At this point, it's just AL watching WE stand around these major objectives, neither side willing to take the full plunge. Tarzan knows if he goes in, he loses. WE knows that they don't have the freest engage in the world. We will see who ends up being the team to pull the trigger, because it could be the other team that ends up really benefiting from that exchange. But look at the gold lead being generated by Taeyun because of all of this time wasted. He's
and we're just watching each other.
Gold on his own.
Yeah, we're literally just standing around the jungle waiting for something to happen, especially from AL's side of things here. And that benefits the way that WE want to play. They have so much length of engage and so much joining power with their comp. AL trying to find some pushing pressure, but they aren't really going to find anything here. The arrow going to try to hit, but they go in onto Kyle. They get the flash play from Monkey. Kyle gets away with the crash. They do get a decent amount of damage back. That second item spike, Shanks tries to find it. Heroic entrance coming in. They don't have a lot of damage now, though. Hope does have that evolution of his second item, but he still really needs that third. As they go fight for the vision, Kyle going to dodge out of the dredge line. Does miss his shattering strikes. And here's Flandra in the pit, waiting for an angle.
This is huge. No Tibbers for Shanks means that's one less engage tool, but WE don't want to risk it. They don't want to step up. It's exactly as I called it. Whoever engages just ends up losing, but the wave is crashing into mid lane, so overall at least a bit of a tempo lead for WE. But once again, there's so little tools to be able to fully capitalize. The team with the most engage in AL dies if they go in. The team that has great disengage is in the lead in WE and don't want to start fights. It's a very, very slow-paced, methodical game, and fortunately we might be in this one for the long haul.
And I love that we saw AL try to do a little bit of tippy-tap onto Atacon, see if they could force anything there. But we're about to have that next iteration of the Dragon conversation. And unfortunately, this one's going to be permanent, Kman, as it could be an Ocean Soul for WE. How does AL combat this?
I think right now you have to find that miracle engage. What does this comp do at a high-end level? It plays around this Aurora and Corki. You need to make sure that you can get them in as good of a spot as possible. Flandra has 3 kills on the top side. This guy is really, really strong. You can somehow get him onto the backline. You can win any fight. WE have to be careful here still.
They're trying to reform ranks here. A lot of vision being played from WE. AL trying to move in, but they're just losing health bars. Taeyun has them in his sights. His Hope just does nothing to this front line already. See 1,300 damage already done by just a poke of Taeyun. AL trying to move in, but they're already at quarters of health bars. Redemption going to come out. As now they move in to try to get some of this vision. Hope has to play so aggressively. Look at Flandra. Look at Kyle. They're going for the double pincer maneuver. Tarzan looking for his own angle.
Vampire.
Oh, he's a little bit caught. Gonna have to flash out. Vampire tried to find Kyle. Now we're getting right back into stock standard 5-on-5 League of Legos. As I think Phil Collins might be wrestling around right now. Tarzan goes in. He's looking for the engage. Chance of Corruption comes right back onto him. Kyle tries to go for the counter on the Magnet Storm, but he's just getting bursted down. It's a front to back for WE that they love to take here. And now you've lost your front line. Dreadline goes a little bit wide. Shank's still waiting for this big trigger pull. He doesn't have flash, but he has the tippers. Hope getting some damage back down as well. Keeper's Verdict goes in. The flash from Cube kind of counter strike. As now they go back in with the Hope play, but they go on to Hope, and Hope dies. He gets a lot of damage back, and Flandra might be able to pick this one up. Flandra and Tarzan, the guys that AL brought in to be that leadership flagpole to come in, try to get cars. He does end up going down. Tarzan coming over, and Shakes has made his way back. Taeyun, he's going to get ran down. It's a tippers. It's the damage done by Shanks, and he gets one back. It's a double kill for Cube, though, on the other end, and it is just blood across the rift. Shanks should get ran down by this combo. I don't know if he's going to be able to get a kill back. Does get the CC in there, and Tibbers is there, but it's not going to be to anything for AL as they finally all fall. WE find the advantage.
A lot to talk about there. What a massive rumble in that fight for Cube. The damage coming in from that champion was absolutely ridiculous, but honestly the fight didn't look all too bad for AL considering how the setup ended up happening. For Hope getting, you know, picked off here, I think we're gonna see at the start of this fight, Tarzan ends up going in on Taeyun, does burn his flash early, which is massive. Even the Chains of Corruption not landing onto anything but the clone, but at this point there's very little ways to go forward for AL. With Kyle dead, there's not really a lot of re-engage tools, and this Keeper's Verdict ends up being massive in just 1 second. From Monkey, the saving grace is that the equalizer goes wide, could be much worse, but no Shanks means no re-engage, no threat coming in from the other side. The hook landing onto Hope is massive. He does a ton of damage in return, though, which really does trade things a bit, and these low health parts get capitalized on at least a little bit, but just opens up the floor for this full health Rumble to take over the back end of the fight. So now you've got a Rumble to worry about on top of the fact that Taeyun... never mind. Bye, Shanks. See ya.
Okay, and then Tarzan just goes... AL are falling apart at the seams here. They're getting multi-different engages, but they're just falling apart. Hope is getting now ran down by the rest of WE. Flandra goes into the fight. Taeyun is down to Flandra. He does get the kill and tries to get back out. Tarzan now using his clone as a buffer, but gets dragged back to the depths to a double kill to Karis.
Well, I was gonna say it could have been worse for AL. That was the worst that it could have been, where you just get Shanks getting caught out and then Tarzan rage engaging to try and salvage the play. They are able to pick up Taeyun, who I believe had some sort of bounty, at least in that first fight, but that is a disastrous fight. Not only is it now Soul going over to the side of WE, but all that gold that you were able to generate is just gone. We'll see what happens here. He's just pushing the wave. No vision by himself. Like, just a huge mistake.
Well, a little bit of setup diff, a little bit of comp differential coming through here in favor of WE. And so far in this iteration of the New Age Tarzan, the musical, I guess I'm going to call it here, monkeys have definitely gotten the better of it.
Yeah, I think monkeys are, you know, the king of the jungle is right now, you know, being won by Monkey, but we will see how that goes. Otacon finally being taken after being danced over for the last 15 minutes.
For 20 minutes, yeah. Like that.
Hope was in the area. I would have been so funny if he stole it, but does go the way of WE.
But, like, how are we here? How are we in a game where WE have 100% neutral control over anyone's legend of all teams? Like, I am just flabbergasted.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
the way
I'm
to
trying to figure it
improve is to work on these objective setups. Because man, this has been nightmare for AL. Like all of the stuff we saw at the beginning of the year from them in terms of their setups and the way that they controlled the map, especially from ahead, they've just not had that same kind of synchronicity in this third and final split. It still continues to be a problem.
As you know, hey, if you want to improve your game, go check out ProDiv.gg. Maybe some lessons being handed down, as we do see a little bit of setup in this top side for the side of Anyone's Legend. Their pick potential is still good. And we do have 3.5 items on Hope now. Karis, unfortunately, he's the one that has the global. As the redemption comes through, ends up buying some time, but not going to be nearly enough. TP play coming in from AL. They know that they want to fast play this Baron, so WE are here to poke out, and Hope loses a massive chunk of his health as another redemption reigns. Monkey can't get caught here. Shanks was looking for a CC chain onto him. Flandra
on the flank.
Flandra goes invisible. Flandra tries to find an angle. Tarzan just trying to get Peyz, but he goes over a board. He goes over Ham, and now he's trying to get back in with the Cyclone, but Shanks flashes in, tries to get the play. It does nothing. He's about to die. Tibbers also joins that, and Shanks does end up getting away with a little bit of help. Tarzan is out of the fight, so that means no jungle pressure there, and not going to lie, WE don't lose much but their summoner spells.
Once again, it's an insane call to peel off the Baron and re-engage when WE is posturing. I get that the poke is scary, but this comp is so good at playing backwards, and that's exactly what WE have been allowed to do in all of these fights. AL, though, now trying to set up and trying to push forward themselves. Teleport coming in.
Oh, that is a big TP, but it's going to be countered here. They go for the preemptive engage between worlds. Going to be pop.
Dead.
Monkey getting low. Can they get him down? Flandra goes to the other side with the between worlds. Karis has finally joined the fight, but now he's getting chunked too. This is what the Gatling gun is really for, as Shanks trying to build up the next stun. Hope is tanking as he's getting rockets back into the back of Vampire. Unfortunately, he gets flashed on, and Monkey goes in with the heroic entrance on the back of him, and they just pick apart AL. Flandra has no damage to put down, and now WE with the Ocean Soul, with the strength at their back, with the wind in their sails, they're looking for a Baron.
What a lot going on to talk about here as the fight's not even over. Of course, that equalizer goes wide. Tarzan could be the next threat, though. You need to get the jungler off the rift.
This is just a forever fight, this entire game. It's actually insane, and WE have just started taking advantage of it. They're losing bodies left and right. Tarzan just bought his GA, and it's already popped as soon as he gets out on the map. And WE get a double kill for their 8-0-9 top lane rumble for the Giga Chad Cube.
And he showcased that scoreline in that fight, you know, one equalizer notwithstanding in terms of where he placed it. But that was a great fight from Cube. He was super low health the entire time playing on Edge. Overall, it's just a massive masterclass coming in from WE, understanding exactly where their pressure comes in and taking advantage of every bit of damage that they have. They're going to get Baron from it. And now you're looking at a situation where, like, where do you even sit if you're AL? Where are you stopping this push coming in? The Varus can hit you from a million miles away. Exactly.
That's where you sit. Next game. That's where you go. It's been impeccable from WE so far, and honestly insane. For a team that has struggled in a lot of cases, this does look a little bit like the symptoms we've seen from them, where when they have a good momentum-based composition, they know how to pilot it, and they will drive teams into the ground. But it's about finishing a series. The series is much more than one game, and we are seeing dominance, at least in game number 1 for WE.
Yeah, the game 1 Andes living up to their title here today, at least so far. It would take a miracle for them to throw this lead at this point, but anything can happen here in the LPL as WE start their siege down mid lane.
They're just got to win the game.
Noting that it's collapsing bot lane as well. You do still have Flandra pushing on the top side. I don't think he'll be there much longer.
Can get a little bit of a bounty. They're going to lose so much for it, and they can even push for the Nexus turrets here. At some point, Flandra is going to need to stop rage splitting and come join the fight. They want to try to keep something going. They lose another turret, and that's going to be the tier 2 in bot side. Now, hovering over the inhib turret in bot side and taking down a Nexus turret in mid. Flandra finally quits his little escapades in the sides, comes to join the fight, but it might be too little, too late.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for an engage comp to feel like you can't go in, but here we go.
They go into Kyle. They do get the Chains of Corruption there as well. Don't get the second proc of it, though. But the next minion wave is coming in. The Baron buff still there for 1:20.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be tough for AL. Their last line of defense is crumbling.
Flandra's going to get taunted. Monkey's there. The final Nexus turret falls. Kyle decides he needs to go in. Heroic entrance on top of it all, though, and Kyle gets completely denied. Tarzan getting taken down by Cube in a solo bolo for the 9-0 and 10 top laner, and it is a WE masterclass in game number 1. AL, where have you gone? We don't know, but WE have taken your place, and game 1 is theirs.
Oh boy, Mazel, we are in for a good one here today. You know, I was getting a little bit worried after that first series that maybe, you know, going to be a bit of a boring day. Not so much. WE striking first and striking fast in this series with a really dominant game 1 win. They really had control of the whole game and just kind of looked better.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure there were 3 Tarzan movies. And, you know, this first one, it's all about the monkey, baby. It's all about Monkey himself for WE and a team that is led by this guy, that finds so much success by running behind this guy, picks out the Poppy when Xin Zhao was available, and runs the map. I mean, runs it.
And that's with a level disadvantage throughout the entire early game.
Like, wildest clear I've ever seen for a level 1.
Truly one of the most baffling things I've seen in Pro. He gave up an entire level for free in the early game and then just went and smurfed the rest of the game because he could. That's the monkey diff that you get for Team WE, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. This guy is just absolutely terrific at being able to push things forward. This is a showcase that it's not just the carries, it's not just the, you know, the resource gatherers that he is good at. He can do everything at a really high level. This Poppy was massive towards setups, and even the mechanical execution of some of these fights just nearly perfect from him.
And I look at these moments, I'm like, man, WE, you put a series like this together and actually have it come to a close in a positive fashion. I think it feels so damn good. And especially with the kind of performance like this, when you're locking down AL completely across the board. And those kinds of moments, I mean, it actually feels so good for WE, who can use this to kind of springboard into that game number 2. I mean, I'm sure things are going to change up. I'm sure it's not going to be an easy task. But taking advantage of AL is no easy feat, and they had done so in game number 1, that's for sure.
They definitely did. And if game 2 is anything like game number 1, I mean, WE... You want to talk about a confidence booster? Like, taking down the defending champs would be a pretty big confidence booster. Now, I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to panic. I've read this book too many times. I've been here. I'm not going to lose my mind. Game 1 Andes are very real in terms of how this could theoretically go, but I do want to give the credit where credit is due. WE just outplayed them. This wasn't a fluke win. They were excellent in game 1.
Yeah, they absolutely were. I mean, that objective control was impressive to watch, the way they moved around the map itself. And dude, Cube was lighting it up on the Rumble. That was a very different Rumble versus Aurora than we saw in the first series of the day.
I think Cube was incredible. I think he played those fights at the end of the game about as well as you possibly could have. And Cube is a player we've had many question marks about at the beginning of the all year long, so. Really throughout, you know, a lot of this year. So yeah, rightfully so, absolutely. Like, this was a really important performance for him on his most played champion that he's not always been perfect on. Almost 40k damage coming in from that Rumble. Dude. Ridiculous.
That's actually incredible. The value pick of the Rumble, and I laughed earlier because I was thinking, like, I wish I could have a camera on Tarzan as he goes back to that back room and reviews the early path for Monkey and realizes he's still lost after all of that. I just want to hear the conversation with the coach. I want to see his facial reaction to what happened in that first 3 levels, and the fact that he still got gapped. As time and time again, I have to call into question the decision-making from AL, trying to go for these picks. Like, I understand trying to pick Taeyu now. That is all well and good on paper. But when you're throwing everything at them when they still have all their tools available, like, it's just not going to work. And I think it's at some point it's just like desperation plays trying to make it work. But it felt bad to watch for sure for AL. As, yeah, a little bit of miscoordination there, but it's fine.
It ends up working out. You end up getting a free engage onto the 80 carry. You know, you'll take it at the end of the day. But really, like, the thing for me that I think was so noticeable is that while AL definitely could have done a better job of figuring out when those engage patterns happen, I completely agree with you. A lot of bad pick timers. Like WE had a comp that wanted to counter engage, that wanted to kind of play backwards and be able to kite things out and, you know, try to play it a little bit safer. And the moment that they generated this big lead, all of a sudden these engage tools like the Wukong and the Rel, they're not looking so good when Poppy can stop the engage and when Galio can just put a big shield on everybody, and then you use all your engage tools and Varus is chunking out your whole health bar, and it just becomes so difficult to find a way to get in once you lose the gold lead. So definitely would like to see a bit of an adaptation in game 2.
I hate to harp on it a little bit more, but I will say you need 2 mid laners to start a game of League of Legends. I am about 50-50 on if both of them connected to the game. In all actuality, I think it was just not a situation where Shanks was set up for success. I think initially on paper, that composition, that combination of the Wukong Annie can be so good, but once you're behind, once you fall behind, you can't be that kind of flash engage potential, just 100-0 somebody. It becomes that much more difficult to pilot, and I think that's where W played so well around those moments, right? Like a lot of those defensive tools they were using were perfectly timed on some of the engages that AL were looking for.
We've seen the power of Annie Wukong. Like, we know what that duo can do at its best. Like, it has weaknesses. That comp needs to get rolling. Annie was ward by the end of the game in terms of the damage. I mean, we saw it. Like, damage was even between Galio and Annie, and that's just not, like, that's always Galio favored if that's going to be the case, if you're in that position. So definitely need to see something more aggressive out of Shanks. He needs to play something that he can actually carry on a bit more. That's definitely been a win condition, but really it's everyone on the team that needs to start playing a little bit cleaner. Even Hope was getting hit by some of those skill shots at the end of the game. So it's really just about the turnaround now.
All right, well, we got to decide who gets MVP or who we think would get MVP here, and I think it doesn't have to be anybody else but Monkey.
I think Monkey is a really strong candidate. I'm certainly not going to be mad if it's Cube. I think Cube was excellent in this game on the Rumble in those big fights.
Stat padding, oh, whatever. It's just top lane, your Rumble. Gosh,
top laner's notorious.
It's not like he was getting like multiple solo bolos in team fights. It's not like he was doing the most damage out of the entire game. Like, stat padding. All right.
Hey, you know, Monkey's eating up MVPs like it's breakfast throughout this split. We can spare one for Cube. We can spare one for Cube. At least for me.
All right, I'm here for it. Unkilled on the Rumble against the Aurora. I'll take it. I think maybe Flandra should call Breathe and ask him how he engages so well, as Cube does end up getting the fire spinning MVP for this one. 9-0-10 on the Rumble, his second MVP of the split.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was a great game. I think he had highest KP on the team, or at least like near highest KP on the team, which is just ridiculous for top lane. Really just one of those games where, you know, maybe the early game doesn't look so hot, you know, pun intended. And then maybe you get into the late game, you start dropping those equalizers, you pick up 9 kills, and you walk away feeling pretty good with yourself.
Yeah, indeed. As that is it for our first game of our second series. Game 1, Andes, calm down, because they got to finish it strong. WE come out strong at least. We'll see if they can follow it up with a Game 2 victory or if AL push us to 3 after a short break.